My name is Mae Helen Jackson. I am the program director for Young Adults in Global Mission. I am also an alumni of the program. I served in 2014-2015 in Southern Africa. I served primarily in the KwaZulu-Natal region, but I also spent some time in Johannesburg.
Hello, I am Pastor Bekah Boatwright, and I did Young Adults in Global Mission in 2016 to 2017 and was a part of the Central Europe program, particularly in Hungary.
Hello, my name is Sater Jacobs, and I was a YAGM in Palestine from 22 to 2023.
Accompaniment for me was my neighbor taking me to work every day because it was like down the street from his house, or my host mom knowing that I love the spice chips, so she would pick me up and walk with me to the nearby chip stand, or we would get a mincemeat pie, or like she would keep these things in mind.
Throughout my YAGM year, I learned so much about accompaniment. I could probably tell you way too many stories, but I want to focus on one in particular, which is what I learned about communication from a young woman who didn't speak. Part of my volunteer work in Hungary, one of my site placements was a place called the alum. It was a home that housed women with physical and intellectual disabilities. And I was super excited about it because this was a community that I had worked with a lot through my experience at camp and in church and other places like that. So I really was looking forward to it. I also came to realize something about myself, and it is that whether it was with that particular community or children or people in the church in general, I often found myself drawn to folks who had the same preferred communication style as myself. That I really appreciated being around people who wanted to have conversations, deep and meaningful conversations, humor, things like that, but that verbal communication meant so much to me that I often would seek it out. So when I arrived at the alum and found myself being most connected with a young woman who was completely nonverbal, it was surprising to me. Her name, we'll call her Anna for the sake of anonymity, but Anna was a young woman, probably 14 or 15 years old, who lived at the alum and had been there since she was 2 or 3. And Anna did not speak, but we often communicated through smiles and laughter, and particularly through music. Music became such a huge part of my communication style during my YAGM year. Music being a universal language, a way that you can connect with people whether or not you have the right words. So I did a lot of singing at the alum, and I found that Anna loved the music. She would smile, she would laugh, she would dance with me, and that was so much of our connection. Well, one day I arrived at the alum as usual, and one of the women who worked there was so excited to come and find me. She said, "Come here, you have to hear this." It turned out that Anna, for the first time since that they had ever experienced, Anna had hummed back a tune of a particular song. It was a song that we were singing the day before. And sure enough, I went to her and I hummed the tune, and she looked at me and she smiled and she hummed it right back to me. And so for the rest of our time there, so much of our communication became humming back and forth, humming and smiles and laughter and dancing. What that really taught me was to seek out communication styles that are different than my own, that oftentimes we can connect to one another in ways that are not your typical conversation. And that's something I've carried into me in any ministry that I've done since.
I can say wholeheartedly that doing YAGM and even learning about YAGM is a direct line and link to me doing this work today. Understanding and learning about accompaniment and what it means to walk alongside our brothers and sisters in Christ It changed my whole brain and my faith and who I am as a person and how I do work.
Biggest thing that I learned and took from it was just the resilience and the steadfastness of the Palestinian people, and that has really drove my love and my activism for collective liberation here in America and just within the world. And I have been doing multiple photo exhibits and conversations, and just been a part of a lot of things within the art world around just bringing awareness and a voice to Palestine and what is happening there, and also how that directly is a parallel to the history that we've seen in America and what we're seeing now.
My YAGM experience has made me a better leader in so many ways. My first call was as program director and pastor at a summer camp, and outdoor ministry was really one of the first places where I experienced the model of accompaniment, that we're walking alongside a temporary, beautiful, intentional community and simply doing life together. That I would be learning from young adults and children who come up onto the mountain just as I am teaching.
I have to go into this work every day understanding that my experience is not the center, and that my job is to center not only the young people that I work with, but also the global companions that we work with, and the communities that we are sending young people to. And without that, then the accompaniment piece of it it's not that, right? Like, we're not YAGM without that piece. So that is such an important part of what I learned in being a YAGM, and I think without that, I would never be able to do this work. And so I'm very grateful for the experience, and I'm grateful for how life-changing it was.
Happy 25th.